and welcome to Sim.bc, where today it is the amazing show that everybody has been waiting for. Yeah, that's how you say it. And it is time for that Sim.bc Saturday News! Recap! Everybody say it with me, the Saturday News Recap. SNR, YouTube's favorite show and all of that, here on my little corner of the internet, where we're going through some exciting news from the last week that has been taken up at various different places of the internet, that has been discussed, that has been presented, and more importantly, that has been connected to the people who are not only on the internet. Yeah, we're talking about different news pieces that are spread to, regular people, those who aren't even on the internet, even though a recent study showed that everybody in the age of everyone is at the internet at one time or another, at least once or twice a week. And there's even some studies suggesting that everybody's on the internet, or at least in connection with the internet, at least once a day, which I thought was ludicrous. Even those old people, I mean, not to judge, right, but senior citizens, are even they in connection with reality and, and technology on that level? But yeah, apparently many researchers would apply that to be true. Anyway, mates, that's not what we're here to talk about. No. We're not here to discuss the senior citizens' place in technology and their relation to technology of today. Well, even though that might actually be kind of an interesting topic, it's not what we're going to discuss as of today. Today we're going to take up two different news pieces. Some international, semi-international, I would say. And then we will go into one thing that has been happening over the last week right here. And it's getting serious, boys and girls. Yeah, it is. And all of you genders in between, gotta be inclusive, am I right? Political correctness. Or was it even politically correct to even, mention that there are more than one gender? I don't even know. Anyway, we're moving into it. And to begin with, I'm gonna have a little bit of a look at me notes so I can remember what the first news piece actually was. You see, there's nothing more than structure and professionality here at Sim.bc, am I right? Yes, would you pay for ad-free internet? Now this is a question that regards everybody who is in connection with the internet more than once a day. Which, as I kind of established, is everybody on the planet. Everybody in Sweden, for instance, is in connection with the internet at least once a day. So this is something that I would consider, or rather that is considered to be, everybody's issue and everybody's problem. Would you consider to actually pay for an ad-free internet? And this entire discussion is coming from the debate that different companies are going to different internet providers or different pages and different sources and different websites. And they're saying, we'll pay you a bit of an ad revenue, yeah? Basically, the entire, market, or what should we say, the entire business model for YouTube, in a sense, dragging in different advertisers. So companies goes to, for instance, then YouTube and say, hi, I would like to display my ad on your site, and I'm gonna give you this much money if you can do that. Then YouTube takes a bit of that money, they distribute the advertisement, and then based on whose videos the advertisements comes up on, that creator is getting a share of the money or the income as well. And therefore you can make a living off of YouTube. Not that I'm doing that, but that's a different manner, right? Anyway, so that's basically how the entire internet industry works. We got Facebook, we got Google, we got YouTube, we got all of these different companies, Twitter, Instagram as well, that operates mainly, almost exclusively online. And they are based on, or solely based on, that different advertisers come and pay a certain fee so that they would be able to display their ads on the internet and online. However, there has been a discussion, there has been an outrage from these different companies saying that, or not from all of them, but for some of them, saying that we are paying a ridiculously high amount of money in order to show our advertisement on the internet, but we're not reaching our target market. And even if we are, it's redundant because people don't really care. Sorry for that. People don't really care about, internet advertisement anymore. It's almost as if something is advertised online, It's almost as if people are seeing it and directly just disregarding it, saying that it's either crap, it's fake, or it doesn't really matter. Or at least that is the argument for, for many, for some of the companies that was taking up in the article that I read. Saying that, well, different, even if we reach our target market, people are not going to look at it as serious marketing. Which is a bit of a problem, because there are many companies apparently who feel this way. I'm not saying that it's a majority, but even if it is a minority of companies who feel this way, it's still a lot of companies. And if they were to withdraw, even if they just make up, let's say, 5 to 10% of all the companies who are invested in actually, showing off their marketing online, that would still be a substantial amount of companies going out from this industry. 10% is huge. Which means that it's opened up the discussion, should we have a revenue-based, an ad revenue-based business model on the internet, or should everybody just pay for their sites, for instance? Would everybody just pay for applying to a social media site? For instance, should I just pay monthly in order to access Facebook? Should I pay monthly in order to access YouTube? YouTube Red is kind of trying that. I'm not saying that it backfired, yeah? But one can argue that it wasn't as welcomed as, for instance, Netflix or HBO or any of these other streaming services. DC streaming service, fingers crossed that it's not going to be as bad as their, movie universe? What? Who said that? Anyway. So it opens up this kind of interesting discussion that should we, as consumers, pay for each individual site that is right now free to us because we are exposed to, ads? Or should companies go away from this and let all of the, companies saying that, no, we don't want to display our ads anymore, which forces these different sites to actually ask you to pay monthly or yearly, or perhaps based on which time you want to go in, based on your needs, right? On how you would like to access the site, because we can't provide it to you for free because, all of the advertisers unfortunately don't want to join in on this anymore. Or it could be the case that, we have so few advertisers who actually want to be part of this business model that we kind of have to have a subscription-based option as well. Or perhaps premium-based, a bit of a Patreon on YouTube, one can argue. That entire mechanic for the average consumer, that, sure, you can access it for free, but if you pay and actually contribute to the development of the channel and the sometimes the just the survival of the channel, then you can get some extra perks and some extra premium in there. And that's kind of what it sounds like to me, when I read it, that this entire discussion is moving in that direction, that perhaps different social media platforms will adapt this premium access business model, or perhaps they will take a subscription based instead of having different advertisers. An entirely different concept that comes up as well, or an entirely different argument and discussion that is taken up as well, is the argument of what is actually private nowadays. Because if we give the information, or if we provide if I'm a company, right, that, let's say Facebook, just for convenience, because of contextuality and so on and so forth, and an advertiser comes to me and say, hi, I would like you to give me access to some of your users' information. Not users' information in the sense that I'm giving them away all the information that they want without asking any questions, but perhaps that I'm giving them access to some public information in exchange for a fee, so that they can actually market their ads to the right people. And if they want to have access to the information that isn't public, then we will be the middle hand, for instance. Just to clarify, that's how I've understood it, right? Instead of doing, and that creates the discussion of what is actually private, because as long as we have advertisers looking at the public profile, I would still argue that that's kind of private, because it's public information that you will have anyway. But since it's aggregated in a way that's systematic, then people might think that that's an infringement of, personal security. Which means that if we're actually having different advertisers, that means that we will have a lowered, quote-unquote, lowered personal security as well online. I would argue that that's not the case, but it's just one opinion amongst many, am I right? But there apparently is a huge amount of people who do believe that as long as we have advertisements online, that means that some of our personal security will be damaged or will be breached, because these different news outlets, or these different outlets who wants to access us with their advertisements, needs to have some form of information about us so that they actually can reach us. with their advertisement, which I'd see it makes sense in a way. I just don't think it's equally as big of a deal as many people would argue that it is. Anyway, we've been down this path for a long while. With me coughing, hopefully I won't be continuing that. Or I edited that out and now I look like a fool. All the questions from the day. Am I right, people? Anyway, we're moving into the second piece of news. And this isn't that big of a news piece, really. It's going to be moving on rather quickly. And that is that they have developed an AI that is currently developing new stages for Super Mario and for Doom. The old video games from, I would assume that they're using the Doom from 1993, not the Doom that was re-released last year, because that would be a pretty sufficient AI if it could manage to do that, am I right? But apparently it's not open for public testing. It's not like any players are actually running around in AI-made levels, at least not as far as the article was concerned and knew about. So I'm just having to trust them, right? But I thought that this sounded like a really cool concept, AI making different levels. Sure, we're at that stage today where they probably maybe can barely make sense of what is actually, you know, a staircase and what is only stairs and what is the skybox and why not, where is the character, what are the enemies. We might be there today, but imagine a few years down the line when you have an AI that can be developing different complex levels at current games that are actually current to this day, and that would just slash the production cost of different games by so much. And imagine the procedural generated content that can be made if you have an AI that perhaps is integrated with your system and with the actual game. Imagine the procedural generation possibilities and capabilities that we could have if AI were to actually develop in a sense and in a way, you know, linear or rather exponentially, as it would probably do, to the development of gaming. That would be amazing now, wouldn't it? I mean, imagine a No Man's Sky where there were actually more than one man in the sky, or other things at least, right? I mean, it would be an amazing experience if they could make, or rather add on this AI to the procedural generated technology that we already have today when developing new games. Imagine the size of the games that they can make based on the complexity of the levels and so on. It just sounds like an amazing opportunity, and I'm sitting here like, when can we get it? When can we test it? I want to test it, but I'm rather, you know, positive towards AI. I know that there are many people out there like, it's the curse, it's the devil's making. Who cares about AI? Just burn it all and go back to the Stone Age where we were happy simpletons. I'm on the other way around. I'm like, you know, AI sounds kind of cool. Am I right? I can see the argument that it might be a problem down the line in the future, but hey, until then, am I right, people? Am I right? Anyway, I was just thinking about taking up that rather quickly because it seems to be a huge development in the field of AI that is actually developing new levels. And I know, before you mention it, that has been happening before, and there has been AI that has been taught to beat different levels, but now it's actually creative, you know, designing, creating, and that creating process is what I think is so interesting, that it illustrates imagination. Now, it could be based on a random number generator in an algorithm who's just saying that now we have 4 staircases, next time we will only have 3. So I assume that the big breakthrough will come when the machine itself, or when the program itself can say, you know, I would like 3 ladders because it looks better. Not because it feels better, not because it is better, not because it's objectively making sense, not because it's fulfilling a purpose, because this abstract view of, I like it, or something like that. I think that would be the next level of going in the, that would be the next level of AI, I would argue. Anyway, mates, I think that I went down through that a bit too much as well, since many of you probably not that interested yet about gaming as I am, but I'm thinking about the general development of the field of AI, which is a kind of a technological fad right now. So people are all over it, right? It's the thing right now in technology, I would argue, at least in programming. Or at least that's so I've heard from some of my friends in engineering. Anyway, we're moving on then. That was the 2 international pieces, even though the first part was a bit, I was having a bit of a cough if you couldn't notice. So that perhaps diminished the quality a bit there. But what I would like to talk about now is what has happened here. Yeah? What has been happening today? What has been happening this week here at the channel? And what is, or rather what has been happening, is that I've been talking a lot about social convention. Something that I have been restraining myself from, because I think that for once it's ridiculously, it's ridiculously interesting, right? It's something that I would like to indulge in, but it's also something that I have restrained myself from because I would also like to create the discussion around it. Because I think that the more people who join in, the better the discussion is going to be, the better the video is going to be, the better the the entire discussion and argumentation around what I take up and what I don't take up in the video will be. Unfortunately, I just thought, you know what, I really feel that this is interesting, so I should just dig down into it directly. So that's why we have been talking about lots of different social conventions over the week. Even though I don't have like millions and billions of subscribers. I don't think anybody has billions of subscribers, but you catch my drift. So what we have been doing is talking about different social conventions, and it has gotten rather serious at times. I mean, we've been talking about heavy stuff like abortion. We've been talking about, I don't really remember it right now, but things like bullying. And even though bullying can be a subject that you can just scrape the surface of, which we probably did, because you can probably go a bit deeper. We were talking about the social impression on an individual based on their social circle of friends, which I thought was rather interesting, and I didn't think we were gonna go that deep when I began the video, believe me. But so, yeah, if you watch this, go and watch the videos prior to this one, and please join in the discussion down in the comment section below the videos, because I really think that there are some interesting topic of conversations to be had there, and the more people are arguing for or against, well, the better. Or rather, the more people are arguing against, the better, because if people just come there who already are of the mindset that I am correct in what I say, that would probably just create some form of huge confirmation bias, which isn't the best thing ever. But anyway, mates, have a nice one, because that was everything from me today. And that is because, well, yet again, I'm in this cleaning situation. I tend to just record these things when I'm supposed to clean, which isn't the best thing ever, but it is, in a way, I can do this when I'm doing when I'm washing, so to say, my clothes. So that's kind of implementing the quote-unquote dead time that I wouldn't use otherwise. Anyway, mates, as I'm saying, or as I'm trying to say, have a nice one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.